The night Daniel Cross realized his dog was missing, the city felt louder than it ever had before. Not with traffic or sirens, but with silence. The kind that presses against your chest until breathing feels like work. Daniel stood frozen at the glass wall of his penthouse, staring down at millions of glowing lights, knowing none of them belonged to him. Max always greeted him at the door. Always. No matter how late, how cold, how empty the day had been, Max was there. But tonight, the apartment door swung open to nothing. No pause. No bark. No warmth. Daniel Cross was a billionaire CEO. His face had been on magazine covers, his words quoted at conferences, his decisions moving markets. Yet at that moment, none of it mattered. He dropped to his knees on the marble floor and whispered the dog's name like a prayer. Max was not just a pet. He was the last living thing that loved Daniel without conditions. The only one who didn't care about net worth, stock prices, or power. And now, he was gone. The world thought Daniel had everything. What it didn't know was how empty everything could be. Daniel had built his empire with discipline and distance. He believed emotions were liabilities. That belief had cost him his marriage years ago. His wife left quietly, saying she felt like she lived with a ghost. They never had children. There was never time. After she left, Daniel bought Max from a shelter on a whim. A golden retriever with sad eyes and a crooked tail. Somewhere between feeding him and walking him at dawn, Daniel learned how to feel again. Max gave his life structure. Purpose. Something waiting at home. Now that purpose had vanished. By morning, Daniel had mobilized the city. Posters, social media ads, private investigators, rewards that could pay off mortgages. No questions asked, he told his assistant. Bring him home. But money doesn't replace hope. And each hour that passed felt like a year. 3 miles away, in a cramped apartment above a laundromat, Maria Alvarez was waking up to another day of survival. Her alarm went off at 5 a.m. She didn't snooze it. Single mothers don't get that luxury. She slid quietly from bed so she wouldn't wake her 8-year-old son, Lucas, curled up under a faded superhero blanket. Maria worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and serving coffee in the mornings. Her hands were always tired. Her back always sore. But her heart, it kept going because Lucas needed her too. That morning, as she walked Lucas to school before her shift, they noticed a dog sitting near the alley behind the bakery. He was dirty, limping slightly, his eyes full of confusion and fear. "Mom," Lucas whispered, kneeling. "He looks lost." Maria's instinct was immediate. She checked the collar. There was a name, Max. And a number. She hesitated. Her phone bill was overdue. Her bank account nearly empty. But kindness doesn't wait for convenience. She called. Daniel answered on the first ring. His voice broke when she said the dog's name. "I'm coming," he said. "Please don't leave." Maria agreed to wait. She gave Max water, wrapped his paw with an old scarf, and sat beside him. Lucas fed him half his lunch without being asked. When Daniel arrived, breathless and undone, he didn't look like a CEO. He looked like a man who had been drowning and suddenly found air. Max ran to him. Daniel collapsed into the dirt, holding the dog, crying openly as strangers watched. He tried to hand Maria an envelope, thick, heavy. She pushed it back. "I didn't help him for money," she said quietly. That sentence lodged somewhere deep inside Daniel. A place he thought was long dead. He insisted on paying the vet bill. Maria agreed, only that. They parted ways. Or so Daniel thought. But he couldn't forget her. He couldn't forget the way Lucas had smiled without expecting anything, the way Maria's eyes carried exhaustion and dignity. Weeks passed. Daniel tried to return to his routines. Meetings, deals. But something had shifted. For the first time, he noticed how many people moved through his world unseen. He had his assistant find Maria, not to give money, but to say thank you. What he discovered stunned him. Maria was behind on rent. Lucas's school had sent warnings. She had skipped meals so her son could eat. And still, she had refused the reward. Daniel showed up one evening with groceries. Then school supplies. Then offers she didn't want. "I don't need saving," she said. "I just need a chance." That night, Daniel lay awake. For the first time in decades, he asked himself who he was building his life for. He created a scholarship program the next month. Then a foundation for working single parents. He hired Maria, not as charity, but as operations manager. She was smart, organized, relentless. They worked side by side. Slowly, walls fell. Daniel learned how to laugh again. Maria learned how to rest. Lucas learned what it felt like to be safe. Years later, at a company event, Daniel told the story, not about losing a dog, but about finding humanity. I had millions, he said. But I was poor in every way that mattered. A single mother who had nothing reminded me how to live. Max lay at his feet. Older now. Slower. Still loyal. Daniel wasn't lonely anymore. Not because he was rescued, but because he finally learned how to see. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life forever is losing what you thought was everything, and meeting someone who shows you what truly is.